Hello, and thank you for watching again. Once again, we're voicing this over. Not proud of it, but that's what we have to do because of the camera mistakes I made. So this is part 2 of a previous video, and you can check out my other video right now. Look at that little bug up there. Isn't that cute? And then just to recap, we have roughly $1,165 invested into these 2 pallets from Target. This is the second half of this. At the time of recording this, we've sold almost everything in these pallets, and we've made a nice tidy profit on them. But go ahead and join us as we kind of go through the second half of it here, and I'll talk about items as we pull them out. And oh, won't it be so much fun? Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment in any particular order. Go ahead and share it with your loved ones as well, and here we go. Okay, here we have another large coffin box. If you've watched the previous video, you know we're getting a lot of cheaper items in this pallet. I mean, thousands and thousands of items. And this box was definitely no exception to that. Here we've got a bunch of socks, and we just put all of those aside for a future yard sale once the weather kind of warms up again. These were luggage tag sets again. You know, it's only worth $1 or $2 to us, so we'll just hold on to that, waiting for our sale. Those are like cling to your notebook so you can put your cell phone in them. A million socks. And I'm sure everyone's sick and tired of me here talking about these, but there's a lot of money in this box. It is all $1 items for the most part, or even less. But there's a lot of money to be made. There were a lot of these strange wooden window things. I'm assuming they're for some kind of craft, but for the life of me, I can't figure out why anyone would buy it. You could put a photo in them, but doesn't seem like, once we kind of looked at them closer, it's not really what they're made for. Again, it just seems like some kind of arts and crafts material. I spent way too long digging through this box, let's be honest. These were like dice games for gentlemen, as it said on the box. I don't even know. Again, they're just yard sale items. These are all front of Target items. There were a lot of these stickers, and then there were window clings too. I don't know if they're upcoming or if maybe they were in the previous video. And they were vaguely Christmas themed, so it kind of became this thing where it's like, are we going to hold off on these till Christmas, or are we going to try and sell them sooner than that? A lot of them were also like thanking healthcare workers, stuff like that, you know, pandemic related stuff. But again, just kind of this like vague Christmas feel to them. So not sure what we'll do with all that. All right, here we have a Radio Flyer wagon. It's got the nice chunky tires. This was perfect. As you can see, there was a ton of box damage, but I pulled it out and assembled it, and it was absolutely perfect. There was nothing wrong with it. All the pieces and parts were there. So we should sell that for a good amount. These are pretty pricey, and so I just went ahead and assembled it. It's all together, and we'll get it out there. It's funny sometimes with those box damage items, you don't know how good or bad the item is going to be, and sometimes they're complete trash, and then other times you pull them out, and it's like, oh, this is fantastic. And that was exactly the case here. It was a great item. Spring is right around the corner. Stuff like this wagon, it's going to sell like hotcakes. I'm assuming hotcakes sell quickly. Okay, here's another box, large coffin box, and of course, it's more front of Target stuff. Look at that. Cheap items. A lot of hand sanitizer. It was sanitizing spray and then hand sanitizer like keychain bottles, so little individual bottles of each of those items. And I think we had close to 1,000 bottles when you add the 2 types together. And so we are currently in the process of working on donating those to a homeless shelter about 45 minutes from our house. It's just hard to get times to meet up with the people we need to drop them off to. So, and that's always it's important to keep that in mind, that you know, you can donate some items, certain items, and you know, obviously that becomes a tax write-off, so it's good for you. And of course, you also get the good feelings of donating needed items to people in need. So we're really happy to get rid of those. We find a lot of like individual bottles of hand sanitizer and stuff that we do keep for ourselves. So when we got kind of this windfall of items, there was no need for us to keep it. I don't feel comfortable selling stuff like that because I don't want people to think I'm price gouging items or anything. So happy to just donate all of them. So a bunch of other little random items there, and then there were these trees. There was a whole little forest of them, 4 or 5 different kinds, different sizes, just a bunch of them. I thought this was a bracelet, and I guess it is, but it's also a flask for all the party girls out there. And then I didn't talk about it whenever I put it on my head, but there were a lot of New Year's Eve stuff in these palettes as well. And the good news is very little of it was 2021 themed. It was just kind of generic New Year's stuff, so we'll be able to sell it next year. The one exception being that the headband I'm wearing there, it says best year ever, but then best is crossed out because, as we all know, 2020 was awful. And once again, future me is looking back at past me and going, why did I spend so long digging through this box? You guys don't care about this. Those disco ball lights that are there, you can kind of see them, are $5 in the store. We had, I think, 11 sets of them, so we let my daughter keep one, and then we're selling the rest 2 for $5 locally. Ha! Look at me. This was a rather large box, obviously. Good mystery box. These pallets were mostly mystery boxes. There were obviously some larger items on them that we knew what they were ahead of time, but these big mystery boxes are the best. A little sneak peek for you. So these little donut backpacks they're for little kids are pretty sweet, but we haven't been able to sell any of them. We gave my 5-year-old daughter one for preschool, and the rest are still sitting around, and it's just not the right season to sell them. They're cool, and they will sell come back to school time next year, or maybe over the summer. But for now, they're just sitting. We do have them listed, but just nobody's interested in this time of year, which is a little surprising, mostly because I remember as a kid destroying every backpack I ever had by midway through the school year and having to struggle to find a new one because there weren't any in the stores. So just waiting on people to realize that. Although I guess kids aren't in school as much as they used to be because of the pandemic. So maybe next year. As you can see, we had a lot of them. A lot of clothes in this box as well. I don't spend a ton of time going over the clothes, but I do say constantly that the clothes are great money makers for us. This trash can was destroyed. We actually just threw it in our basement near our laundry machine, and we throw dryer lint and all that stuff in it. So at least it's getting used around here. It's not going directly to a landfill. These are wrap tile slap bracelets. I don't know that we've actually been able to sell any of these yet. They're slap bracelets, but they have these talking lizards on them that basically parrot back whatever you say to them in a funny voice. I dropped one because I'm a professional. I'd like to point out, too, that I completely forgot I had the Best Year Ever headband on until the end of the video. So the few times you'll actually see my head in this, you'll notice I'm still wearing it. This baby carrier didn't have any tags on it. We couldn't tell if it was part of a larger set or whatever, so that just became another item that our kids got to keep that floods my house with too much stuff. The bottom of that box was a toilet seat. It was clean. Looks like the packaging had just been ripped open in the store. So we'll hold on to it and sell it. I'm actually talking about right now how I need a new toilet seat in one of our bathrooms, but I want one of the ones that does the soft close, and that toilet seat was not that. Some more items out of that box were just some more apparel. And again, it's just great money makers for us. Those are maternity pants and maternity stuff. So maternity and plus size when it comes to women's clothing are some of the best places to go because it's hard for pregnant women or larger women to find clothes that fit them. So online you could be, a resource for them, and those items sell really well. Then we just have some underwear and socks. These are all, lower dollar items that'll have to be sold in a local sale. I'm discovering if this underwear is my size or not, and I don't think it was. All right, here we have a Razor scooter. This is the second one of these we've ever gotten. The first one we sold for, I want to say around $80, but it had a pretty gnarly crack in the deck. This one, as I open it up, did have a small superficial crack on the side of the top deck. And what I didn't realize here, and realize later when I went to assemble it, was that the throttle was cracked. But so we just went ahead and ordered a part from a third-party manufacturer. We ordered the part from a third-party manufacturer. So we've currently trying to sell this with that replacement part. I installed it. I took the whole thing apart and replaced the throttle, and it worked. And everything works great on it now. So hopefully we can sell that. We're hoping to actually sell it for more than the last one we sold. Even though it has a replacement part, it is in better condition. And we, of course, disclosed that we used a replacement part, which is obvious when you look at it because the throttle button that I got, for some reason, has a picture of a horn on it and also Chinese lettering. So I think anyone who takes one look at it will realize, oh yeah. This was a Bissell steam cordless steam mop, if I remember right. And this is definitely an item we still have, or spin mop. And we have not been able to sell this yet. And I couldn't tell you why. I really thought that this would have been an item we'd be able to move pretty quickly. We don't really ship these larger items, and maybe we need to start looking into that, because when we can't move something like that locally, it should be important to get it out the door, especially if someone's willing to pay for shipping. We have another 4-cube organizer. These things are great. I love getting these things. They sell so quick for us. We barely ever hold on to them. Depending on if the box damage is bad enough, we'll assemble them. But otherwise, like this one right here, there's a bit of box damage, but I can take one look at that box and tell you that the shelving and everything inside of it is perfectly fine. So we just pack it up, list it online, and it sells within hours. Okay, another mystery box. So these larger boxes were true mystery. The coffin boxes were the ones that contained all the front of Target stuff. So when you see these, know that you're about to see more exciting stuff than just some window clings, some disco balls. A little sneak peek there. Right off the top, you got a gingerbread house, and I've mentioned this before on here. We just crush those up and feed them to our chickens for a little treat. Happy chickens mean good eggs. That was just some screen cleaning wipes, and actually those are sitting in front of me as I record this because I'm just using those on my own personal screens. This is a wireless charging pad. It only kind of works. It seems to not always charge my phone, and I do have a wirelessly capable phone for charging. So I just kept that item because it was clearly used and just didn't want to deal with trying to sell something that maybe didn't work or would ruin someone's phone. Bunch of clothing items. Here we have a Dragon Ball Z shirt. Sometimes with these graphic tees, I mean, because we before the pandemic hit, we would do a lot of thrifting, and sometimes even these like Walmart or Target brand graphic tees that have, you know, recognizable brand like Dragon Ball or something on it. You know, they only sell those for maybe $5-10 in Target or Walmart, but you can sell them for the same price online if you find one that's in new or like new condition in a thrift store. So that's always something to keep an eye out. If it's a popular enough brand, think Star Wars, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, Marvel. It is sometimes amazing what really low dollar items can still retain a lot of value when you sell online. I'm not saying you can buy for Walmart at full price and then flip those items. I'm sure that does exist in some cases, but not in all. Not in most even. This was a really expensive backpack. Like, let's say it was like $120. It was definitely a. It's almost like a suitcase. Like it fully once it fully opens up, and all the zippers worked. Everything on this was in great shape. It didn't have any tags, but it didn't look used in any way. Probably the tags were ripped off in the store, most likely accidentally, and it was just liquidated. We have like a science kit. This was we bought this a little after Christmas, so we expect to get some toys and stuff like that. So that was just a magic science kit. This was a fanny pack, a cooler fanny pack, and I thought this was about the coolest thing ever. So that'll be part of my summertime vibes. I think this was sunscreen, and that was definitely sunscreen. A lot of that stuff we went through, and it was all brand new. A lot of it was brand new, but there wasn't really much there. So we're probably just gonna hold on to all that come summertime, just because of my pale, pasty children need as much sunscreen as they can possibly get. There was a lot of medicine in the bottom of this box too, aspirin and like indigestion pills, stuff like that, and all of it was expired. I'm not really in the. I have no. I know you can in some cases sell some of that stuff when it's expired, but I don't really have any interest in selling expired meds. So even if they are just, I might have taken them myself because, I'm not necessarily abiding by the expiration dates, but it's definitely not something I want to sell. Here we have an end table, brand new in box. And then we have this padded table and chair set. This item actually my wife posted on her Facebook page, just pictures of the pallets still kind of saran wrapped up. And this item preemptively sold to a frequent buyer of ours and then unsold itself pretty quickly. So at the time of recording this, I thought we had already sold it before any of it had even been listed. And that person fell through, which normally, I don't want to stand for that kind of stuff just because we expect money up front before we'll hold something for someone. But this person being a very frequent buyer, and honestly, within 24 hours, they had let us know that that item really wasn't for them. They didn't, we didn't have to deliver it or take it anywhere. They just said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm willing to deal with that when it comes to a frequent buyer and someone we know and trust. That table and chair set did sell pretty quickly after we listed it, though. I don't know what's up with Target using these boxes. It makes sense in that they're large boxes and they must get a lot of them because they sell a lot of rubber, totes, Rubbermaid, Sterilite, all that stuff, but there's just so many of them. Got a lot of those yellow dresses. Some in that last box from earlier as well. There's a little sneak preview of all the clothes that we got out of this box. Unicorn shirts. I think my daughters ended up with those unicorn shirts, to be honest. I feel like at this point, after... Oh, my cat needed to get let out. At this point, most of my daughter's wardrobe has come out of these pallets. I've got 3 little girls, and they love getting the opportunity to kind of just get a few items of clothing out of each one of these pallets. Although, sneak peek of the next 2 pallets we got, which at the time of recording this, I've already unboxed all of them, and those videos are forthcoming. Not as many clothes. We usually get a lot of clothes on these pallets, and the next 2 pallets we got, not much going on. Typically the way this works is when we're selling these items is we kind of work our way through the big items, get all of our money back from the initial purchase pretty quick, within a week or so usually, and then we slow burn through these clothes, and that's where, clothes, smaller items, stuff like that, and that's typically where we make the bulk of our profits. Here's a weighted blanket. This item sold pretty quick. This was a magnetic dry erase board. The packaging was torn a little bit, but otherwise that was in perfect shape. Here's a DOP kit. This would be great come back to school time, college kids, stuff like that, as they're heading back to the dorms. That'll be perfect for them. I believe that was just some burp rags for babies. Those kinds of items sell great in our local sales. Some smaller makeup items here, and then a squishy ball. I swear in each one of these pallets I find something gooey. Gooey, sticky, every single time. Can't help it. Got some praying colored pencils. And again, I think that's just something my kids ran off with, which is fine. I mean, it'd be a couple bucks for us maybe in a sale. It was a complete set, but if my kids are going to use them, if it makes them happy, I'm happy to do that. And also we check those kind of things because sometimes like art supplies could be worth like strangely large dollar amounts, even though it looks like just a basic colored pencil set. And that's all that ended up being. So there's a pen. That pen was like $25, I want to say. There's the empty box. A little pencil case. And then these were like good teacher gifts. They were all like basically koozies for your coffee. They all had inspirational quotes about teachers on them. You know, good thank you gifts for our kids' teachers come the end of the year, and then the rest of them will just go into a sale. And there go all the clothes. Another large mystery box coming up. And there's your little sneak peek. You can see the Mickey Mouse slippers in there. I think I go for those first. Let's see if I go for those first. Pause right now and let me know. Do you think I go for those first? I did go for those first. Look at that. Mickey slippers. The large yoga mat. This item also sold pretty quick. Some running shoes. Another cookie set. Actually, we did end up eating those because they were just sugar cookies. Let the kids decorate them even though it was way after Christmas. But they didn't expire for like another 8 months, so they were all good. It was a birthday bag and it had a shipping label on it, so we just took that and delivered it. You know, delivered someone else's goods in it. Some dude wipes. They were open, but they seemed clean. But I didn't feel comfortable with them, so they're gone. This was a remote to a Roku TV, but clearly we didn't have the Roku TV with the remote. So we did look into it. The remote works, and then it does hold some value. So that'll probably be an online sale for us. I really doubt we could move that locally, but it's a lower dollar item, so it's kind of one of those bottom of the death pile items. Got a Conair hairdryer. And these sweet women's roller skates, and they were my wife's size, so she ended up keeping them. My oldest got a pair of roller skates last summer, so the idea is come this spring and summer, my wife will be able to roller skate with her. Some large JoJo Siwa onesie pajamas, and then also a JoJo Siwa bow making kit, maybe. Hey, props to JoJo Siwa out there living her best life. Good for her, right? And another large pajama set. This one was frozen. Someone bought both of those actually locally for their kid's pajama day, and it's funny because that woman's kid is in my daughter's class, but those are just a little too big for my daughter, who's kind of a little shorty. It's an oven mitt. Ended up keeping that oven mitt just because could use a new one. And this is a tie-dye razor scooter. We actually sold this online on Facebook Marketplace, and I think it shipped to California. When we first listed it, they were still available on Target's website, but when we sold it, they were sold out on Target's website. So the person who ended up buying it in California, once you totaled the shipping, actually ended up paying about $5 more than what you could have bought it in the store for, or off Target's website. Just a little sign. I was able to kind of squeeze all that back together, and we'll sell that locally in a sale. That way, when someone holds it in their hands and makes a decision whether or not they actually want to purchase it, because they'll be able to see that. Here's another weighted blanket. This one just sold. I'm getting a lot of weighted blankets lately. The first few pallets we got, never saw one. In the last few, here, I'm getting a couple. And this item did sell just recently. Got some leggings here. These were hand sanitizers. This is what I was talking about earlier. That stuff we'll keep for our own personal use. I think each of my daughters put one of those on their backpacks. Each of my daughters that are in school. My youngest isn't in school yet. That was cake toppers, like fondant cake toppers. They were still in date. They were good for like 3 years, but just a little weirded out by them, so those met the garbage. And then that was an electric toothbrush that my wife and I ended up fighting over on who got to keep it. We got some essential oils here, which we just kind of package those up with some oil diffusers that we already have in hopes of kind of enticing a buyer just as throw-ins with that. I have no idea what I'm laughing about here. This is part of the problem of recording voiceover like weeks later. I don't know what my wife and I are talking about. And we just got some lip balm. Again, that's probably just a personal item we'll keep. And that's the end of the box. Very last items on this pallet is this Joy sign, which will just be held for a sale until late next year, but a great way to end this pallet of just absolute randomness that we got. Thank you so much for watching these. I know this pallet's a weird one because it doesn't have like super exciting items, but at the time of recording this, which is just a few weeks after we bought it, we have more than doubled our money on this pallet, and we still have all of those front of Target items. And again, if we're selling those at $2 to $3 items $1, you know, we're looking at hundreds of more dollars once we're able to have a sale outside and everything warms up. So once that rolls around, we should be seeing a nice heavy profit on those, and it should turn out really well for us. So again, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll catch you next time.